Hey you, I'm the Queen of Shade. Welcome to the interview. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit my Cash App to support your favorite content creator. Now let's get to the interview. Mwah.
Let me tell you something. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too.
Salutations, Stufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming at you with another special presentation. It's been about 11 days since I've done one of these, but we're back and we are moving full speed ahead. And for my first interview back, there was no one that I could think of to fill that space of me dealing with things in my own life and coming back to share some positive energy than the person that I'm about to introduce to you right now. This person is a blast of positive energy. They've always been positive energy, have had that energy since I've known them. Okay, so let's get into them real quickly. They're a musician, they're an activist, they are so many other things. I believe there's two-spirited in there. I believe there's just so much, and we're going to talk about all of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to pop artist, international pop artist, Tony Enos. Hi.
Having me. Hey.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, thank God. I can't complain. No complaints at all. How are you? You look amazing.
Listen, I'm doing good. I'm healing. Good. I had some rough stuff happen, but like I said, I've been gone for about 11 days. Mm-hmm. But okay, I didn't want it to go to 12, so I was just like,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I reached out to you, you were so gracious and you said, let's do this. And I couldn't wait. And I just couldn't think of anybody that could give me that positive energy that you bring. You've always been that. You've always been that. So I'm gonna give them a little background. I've known this artist for years. This artist and I are from Philadelphia. And I met this artist in Philadelphia, and it was just so he was just so amazing. I met him in person and just so loving and so warm and so just happy and so joyful and, just really a really all around beautiful person. So meeting them, I just had to, when I thought about, okay, who am I going to interview when I come back from my hiatus? I literally reached out to him, 3 days ago? I was like, will you do this? Could have said no, but he said yes. So here we are, Tony Enos.
Well, it's a pleasure. And thank you for all that you give to the world. And thank you for your kindness and generosity of heart and spirit. Personally, between you and I, and for your kindness and generosity of heart and spirit for all that you give to the universe. So thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Listen, it is an absolute pleasure because I believe in giving people their flowers while they can smell them.
Come on, Jesus. Yeah.
Yes. So I have to just give them this background. Tony Enos has been a pop star. He was a pop artist, pop star before I even got started. Back in the day, YouTube, I'm watching, Facebook, I'm watching. Before I even knew that I would even get into music, I was watching Tony in the beautiful costumes with the long hair and dancing and singing. And I just was like, this young man is amazing, absolutely amazing. And we never lost touch. After we met, even online, we never lost touch. And I got to share something with you too. We met downtown. We had us a little meeting downtown.
Yeah, we did at the Midtown,
yes,
Diner.
At the Midtown Diner. I don't even know if it's there anymore.
No, R.I.P. Midtown. It's broke my heart
See,
when they took that away. I grew up in that place. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I used to walk from my house at 3 a.m. in the morning to go to Midtown Diner because I live not that far. So I used to get the lox and it was a lox omelet. And like it was so good, and they would put cheese in it and all this just amazing. To put the hash browns, and I used to do that, and it was so funny because I used to do that. That was my thing on payday, because I was living check to check. So because it was expensive down there. Center City is expensive as hell down there. So that was like my thing. Every time I got paid, every 2 weeks, I would just walk. I literally would leave my house 3 a.m. in the morning, walk to Midtown, be like, "Give me a lox omelet." Like
you gotta pay yourself first and treat yourself first.
Yes. So it was so good. But I said that because my grandmother and my aunt, I'm not saying that they old or anything like that. No, they have followed your journey since then. They look like my grandma's like, "Oh, did you see what Tony Enos posted on Facebook?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't see it. I'll see it." And they tell me about it. Then they're like, "Oh, get this." It was my grandmother that said, "You need to reach out to Tony Enos and ask him for an interview."
Oh, wow. Well, please give her my love because she's an institution herself.
Yes.
Yeah. So please send my love. Yeah.
Yes, it was her. And I didn't even hesitate. I said, "Okay." And just immediately got on the little, the little devices that we have.
Yeah.
And started doing, hold on. Who that? Okay. Oh, that was your page. Okay. So, okay, I've given you your flowers. Let's fill everyone in. Okay. Tell us in your own words, even though I've said what I've said, tell everybody watching who Tony Enos is and how he got started.
I'm just trying to matter. I was signed to an independent record label in Philly when I was 16 years old. Not a good fit, not a good marriage. And I had to be let out of, so I wanted out. To be let out of the contract, I had to agree not to record in the industry for 3 years because it was a 3-year contract. And so while I sat over that 3 years, I was like, this is so stupid. Like, I'll never do this again. I'll never give someone else agency over my career and my creation, So I started my own production company, Loyalty Entertainment LLC in Philly, I guess 2008-ish, 9-ish. And just started releasing music professionally. My first album, Did It Right, came out, I think, 2009. After that, that was produced by Damon, Mr. Dizzy Fingers Bennett. Then I started working with Insane P, who gave me like my breakthrough album, The Heat. And we produced Hot Knife Through Butter together. I wrote it and we co-produced it. Excuse me. And then after that, I just decided that it was time for me to have full creative control. And I just always, through those early years, I just always prayed and wanted to be a self-sufficient musician, especially in the studio. And I'm really proud of that I'm, now I'm writing and producing and really pouring over every piece of product that leaves my hands. So after that was No Place Like Home album. And then in 2000, was it 2020, 2019, 2020? I released an album called Positive. Yeah. And with that, 2022, 21? 2020, my sister, God bless her. Thank
That's right.
I'm senile. She's 10 years younger than me, thank God, because somebody's got to remember stuff. But so released Positive, and with that, I came out publicly about living. Well, HIV's been living with me for 15 years. I'm the boss. I'll always be the boss.
That's right.
It's been 15 years. So with that album, just sort of wanted to uplift the living with HIV experience. And I also had the extreme honor and blessing of being a United States U=U ambassador. And my fellow ambassadors are just such kick-ass warriors. And I just wanted to give us something. I wanted us to have something to kind of make our chests puff up and be proud of. So that was what that album was really about. And so now I'm working on my 6th studio album. It's called Indestructible. And kind of in the same way that I wanted to lift up the PLWH, the people living with HIV experience, Indestructible uplifts the growing up gay experience, the LGBTQ2S experience. And in the same way, I wanted to be able to give gay youth growing up, well, language first. I think language is really important. Young folks, a lot of time, have very visceral reactions, but it's not the same as being 37 and being able to say, I feel anxious, I don't feel safe, I feel violated. They just know that they feel something. Something doesn't feel right. Kind of get goosebumps talking about it. And so being able to give youth language is really important to me. There's a great website called Sound It Out that's helping parents and their kids find music lyrics to help express their feelings. So like the power of music, right? Yeah. So really just that's my hope for this album, Indestructible, that it can be good medicine, and to really kind of, the power to love again after you've been hurt. And whether that's in a relationship, direct, like an intimate relationship, or even as you've grown up, bullied, disowned by your family, what have you, still the power to love again. That's what makes us indestructible. You know what I mean? The indestructible spirit, the human spirit. So that's what I hope this album can be for folks, but especially LGBTQ2S folks. Sorry, extra S.
Yeah. And
little bonus S.
Right. I'm one of those people. I'm two-spirited. Yeah, I'm one of those people. So, there is so much. And what I love is, even as you were speaking, I love the educational piece, because there are so many people living today that don't, like you said, language is so important. They don't really know they know how they feel, but they don't know what the right verbiage is.
Right.
So I'm very proud and very honored to hear you say that, I'm providing people language, because that's the thing. Like I've had 15 years of therapy just from dealing with my childhood and mental illness and things like that, and, traumas and things like that. So it gives me, I've learned a lot of language. And I mean, some people would think, oh, well, is it, my grandmother calls them dollar words or 50-cent words, those big words, but it's not that. It's like you said, being able to say, I don't feel safe. I feel attacked. I feel like, being able to give word and voice to your emotions instead of just, because sometimes when people get frustrated, violence happens.
Well, and I think too that I was that person. I had a very explosive, volatile temper in my teenage years. The gallery in Philly, I jumped over the counter to beat somebody up, and I was that just sort of I guess just unhinged, at the drop of a hat, I was ready to go. But, growing up bullied, living through it was a war, to step outside of my house. And literally it started on the steps as I was leaving for school. The kids would pass by. And before I even got the chance to get off the steps, it was the faggot, Gable, blah, blah, blah. It would start. And it would go through the rest of the day. And then I had family members who would do this. So it was, until I came, well into my mid to late teen years, it was like living through a war. So, if you kick a dog when he's young, he'll grow up mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. And I had a lot of healing to do. And when you're a trauma survivor, it's a lifetime commitment.
Yep.
It's a commitment to getting it and to healing. So all I can ever really do is hope to be an example of that. Maybe a way to go about it.
But get this, it's so funny. Our stories, we share the same thing. I have always been an effeminate creature. I display both, but I live in my femininity. My femininity gives me emotion. It gives me, sensuality. It gives me poise and balance to be able to move. And like you said, my voice has always been my issue, because for as long as I can remember being in first kindergarten and first grade and being punched in my face because, oh, you sound like a girl. And that was the thing. And that was in the inner city. And I put up with that from first grade to fourth grade. And I remember my grandmother moving up in her career as an educator. changing, I was being chased by a home. I was being hit with rocks in my head. Like, it just was really bad. And she moved me out of the city into the suburbs. But what I want people to understand is the bullying did not stop. The physicality of the bullying stopped, but it was still emotional. It was still hard.
Yes.
And like you said, because I have a temper too. I think that all of us that got bullied like that, I don't think we need to lose that, because we'll beat your ass real quick because you underestimate. No, because you underestimate us, and I don't like when people think that they can physically harm us, and they're just going to sit by and do nothing about it. So, moving into the suburbs, it just became a lot of verbal abuse, but the verbal abuse happened every day, all day, and then you're being told, well, I didn't touch him. I didn't touch you. So don't get violent with me because I didn't touch you. But it's like, you're touching my soul. You're hitting my soul. You're hitting my inner being. You every day that I see you, every time that I see you, the snickering, the laughing, the talking to each other. And this continued, the bullying continued for me all the way up to college. I was bullied all the way up I was bullied in college, and I chose a state school, I chose Clarion University, Pennsylvania, out near Pittsburgh. And that made it even more traumatic for me because the men openly, publicly teased me, bashed me, said things about me. It was very hard for me to move around people of my color, like my descent. And that was the thing. And then privately, they were all trying to get in my pants. They were all calling my room. Come on. They were all trying to get me to do things with them. Right. And it was that is actually, because I was turning 19 too, that was actually what triggered my first manic episode. And I had to be medically withdrawn from college to go into a hospital for 2 months before I could even come home. It was because of the abuse that I was suffering at the hands of my own, and I mean Black and brown people, period. And, I want to stay there for a second because I think that is so important that we discuss that, like we have young people now, and yes, there are more resources for, Black and brown children, Black and Latin children, Black and, Native American children. There are a lot, but the presence of children that are non-binary, the presence of children that are gay, lesbian, the whole diaspora, is so much more now. Yeah. And I find that the heterosexual community is on the rampage about it. They want to stop it. They want to quell it. They want to get things back in what they call balance. And it's like, no, and they're like, why are all these kids being born gay? Why are all these kids being born? And it's like, no, baby, we've always been here.
You're giving a word today.
We're giving a word. We're talking about but it's so true. It's like, no, we've always been here. Right. It's just a little safer for us to say that we're here.
I think it's become more mainstream. It's become more pop culture. And I think, unfortunately, the United States, the business of the United States, because it's a business. Yep. So all that bleeding heart, my country, 'tis thee, baby. What do you get when you're born? A barcode. That social security number is a barcode. Yep. You're a product and you move capital. Yep. That's how, and they want you dead by 6, and so they ain't got to pay your social security. Right. But so in the business of the United States, the media creates a lot of, perception is reality. Mm-hmm. And so the media creates a lot of the perception for people who do maybe live out in middle America or wherever and aren't having a lot of interactions with LGBTQ2S folks. So for them, the gay people that they came to know were Ellen, Will and Grace. You know what I'm saying? So the media creates that. Now RuPaul's Drag Race, so now they know drag queens, so now everybody's voguing and now bitch and everything else, because that's what they've seen that gay people are through media. Yeah. So I think it's become more mainstream pop culture because that's our culture, good, bad, or indifferent in this country. Mm-hmm. And I think even when you get into like world pop culture and what that looks like, you have people in Africa, it's 300 degrees, but they saw Beyonce with a furrow instead of walking around with a furrow because that's what they saw American glamour looks like, So the media creates that perception for a lot of people. For me, I don't subscribe to sticks and stones. Right. Words have power. I think the words and the narrative you tell yourself have power. Last night I had posted on Facebook, no one and nothing has power over you. No one, nothing, no person, place, or thing, because you are the only thinker in your mind.
Yeah.
And your thoughts create your life. Yeah. That said, I take responsibility for all of my decisions, all 37, God willing, 38 years in July. Yeah. But there were things that changed the trajectory of my life. One of them was when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And my mother's brothers, my uncles, very machismo in the South Philly bullshit, always constantly bullied me and didn't like my femininity and all that. And I remember like it was yesterday, I was eating a bowl of cereal at the one end of the table, and my mother and him were at the far end of the table. And he said to her, "You don't think that there's something wrong with that? You got a boy that's running around singing Diana Ross songs and Sandy's Part in Greece. You don't think that there's something wrong with that?" And I didn't say anything. It goes back to like people might not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted the floor to open up and swallow me. I was mortified. Yeah. And it was the first piece of information that I received about myself, that there was something wrong with me. Yep. And so it changed the trajectory of my life. And it took me a very long time to return to the memory of wholeness. Yeah. Yeah. And being exposed to that then for a very long period of time, pretty much from, 3 years old up through my teen years, I think you can feel very silenced, very siloed, very isolated. And so I think people have a tendency to minimize, my nude photos and things that I do that are a little off color, but I do them because
I love them.
I want to empower the youth coming up. You should love your body. I will never send a message that you should be ashamed of your body for any reason. Our bodies are incredible things. Like you and I got 8 hours of sleep last night. My body kept itself alive without any help from me. Like our bodies are incredible things. My body's a brown body. It's a body with HIV. It's a multiracial body. It's a two-spirit body. So on all accounts, coming back at me, people think I should go sit in the corner with, the rosary beads and not be seen or heard. And I won't do that. And I will not send a message to young people that that's what they should do either. And so that's why I make the kind of art that I do. And God willing, it'll empower somebody.
And you know what it is? I was, as you were talking, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I love when you do the photos and everything. I've even commented and you're like, "Oh, wow, you saw that?" Yes, I saw that. We all see. And that's the thing. We all see. and I love what you said, because I decided to do this. I always wanted a career in entertainment, but I wanted one on the internet, because also, like you said, trauma and people's perceptions, and just to kind of create a barrier of protection for myself. It was always something that I wanted to do. But, you said something that was very important, like people, how they make us feel, and it's so crazy because so many of us young thought leaders, entertainers, we've had to do so much work on ourselves for situations that we didn't even cause. We've had to be the one. I've been in therapy for 15 years, and you said something about that, and you were talking about that. And, you talked about the journey and the return to wholeness. I'm still on that journey, and I'll be 40 in September. And I love what you said, because it was other people that sent a signal, a very violent signal to me. that something was wrong with me. For, I want to say, half of my life, I hated the sound of my voice, because the sound of my voice got me bullied, beat up, rejected. I had men, even in the, the gay experience, that would sleep with me. Oh, you got an amazing body. Oh, you've got an amazing, yeah, you look like a guy, but we just can't go out. I just can't introduce you to anyone. I've never had a boyfriend. It was always a sexual situation with me, because I looked the part. I had muscles. I was pretty, so it was, okay, yeah, we could do that, but we're not leaving this house together.
Right.
And
well, I tell you, you ain't missed much in the way of boyfriends. Good for you for pouring into you and taking care of you.
And it wasn't by choice at first. I wanted a goddamn boyfriend.
I know.
It took me a while to realize that the problem wasn't me. The problem was them. And the love of my life, I met him in college. He just wanted a fling. He wanted to play around. He wanted to experiment, is what they call it for boys, especially. He wanted to experiment. I never let him touch me. And I loved him. I loved him more than life itself. And I never let him touch me. We courted for nearly 2 years, and I never let him touch me. I wasn't ready. And
good for you for knowing that.
And you know what, too? I also knew that there was kind of like, I knew that he was part of a clique that was trying to get me.
Okay.
And that was the thing, like, my love for men that are, football players and athletic and stuff, that stuff has been since I was a little boy. And it was so crazy, because even when I got to college, I chose a football player. And later on in life, he came back past me, and he told me what I always suspected and knew in my heart. He was like, they made fun of you, this, that, and the other, but we used to talk about you. They wanted you so bad. And I'm like, what a fucked up way to show it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that kind of circles back around to having language. I think empowering boys.
Yeah.
To have language, and empowering them to feel their feelings.
Yeah.
Patriarchy hurts men too. It hurts boys too.
Yeah.
And that boys don't cry attitude, that you're supposed to stuff your feelings down and all that. I will flip if I hear a parent speak that way to their child in my presence.
Yeah.
I do have to thank you for being a brown person who is transparent about going to therapy.
Yeah.
That is so important in our communities. And I too have been in therapy since my early 20s, I want to say. We need to raise more we need to give our young folks more tools so that they can be better, so that they could grow into better adults. And it's so important, so that they're not doing things like that, so that they're not, you know what I mean? So that they can outwardly and intelligently, with emotional intelligence, express what they're feeling to who they're feeling it.
You know what's so crazy? Especially in our communities, the melanated communities, the Black and brown communities, peer pressure is so crazy. You will have a man, and I've been victim of this, and now they're showing it in movies. You will have a young man that likes you, but because he needs to gain and stay in with the in crowd and gain clout, they will put him up. Now, mind you, they will know he likes you. See, that's the part that they leave out. They know he's attracted to you, because attraction is something that men and women feel. We all feel it.
Right.
Energy.
Right.
They will know that the young man is attracted to you, and they will dare him to beat you up to stay cool with them.
Right. Right.
And I've been in that situation before.
Yeah.
Moonlight. I couldn't watch Moonlight at first. I couldn't watch Moonlight at first because that was my life.
Right.
And then I started watching it over and over and over and over and over again, because the trauma was our lives.
Right.
You are so right. Like, I'm sick and tired of men feeling like their sons are all going to be unicorns and My Little Ponies and Care Bears if they teach them how to feel. Because let me tell you something, it's not just gays being affected by this. Their mothers, their sisters, their girlfriends, they're getting toxic masculinity in their homes. They're trying to love a man who really doesn't love himself, because he doesn't know himself. He doesn't know himself.
Exactly.
Violence, and get this, it was a shame. But growing up, I knew and I learned, if a boy hit me, he liked me. I should have never had to get used to that.
Right.
If a boy abused me, he liked me. And that was the case. For a long time, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna tell my tea a little bit. So what happened was, growing up, I was bullied really badly, even when I got to the suburbs. So what happened was, I leave college, I come out, I get put out of my home by my family, and I'm living on people's couches and, doing what I have to do. And the funny thing is, through all of that trauma and mental illness, being bipolar, having PTSD and acute anxiety disorder, all of that, finding my way through all of that, I found my balance.
Right.
And it was a crazy thing, because I'm going to say this. My family said, like I always say, if you put a child out that doesn't know how to survive, you're sending them to their death. And then if by happenstance that child survives, then you say to that child, oh, well, it made you stronger.
Right.
So I remember coming back and finding my way through all of the chaos and things like that. And then I remember the same young boys that, were bullying me were now men. And now interested in me. You know how they say you take down? I took down so many of them in the sheets, tore them up.
I know that's
Tore them up.
Right.
You want this experience? You gonna get this experience.
I know that to be said.
Tore them up. And it was like, but in my mind, I thought to myself, I'm like, all my life, you were the person I feared. And now you here sharing my bed, and you're trying not to leave, because now I'm in an attitude where, okay, sleep with you. Okay, you got to go. And you're not trying to leave. You're trying to lay here. You're trying to reminisce about our childhood, and you and I don't have the same memories.
Right. Yeah.
It's so sad, Tony. It's so sad.
There's a really famous, I think it's by George Gatlin.
Okay.
Gatlin painting.
Okay.
Famous painting of it's called Dance to the Wink Day. So the Cherokee, so the Lakota Western Plains isn't my tradition, but the painting is of a Wink Day, of a Lakota Two-Spirit. And the warriors, one of the myths or traditions or whatever you want to call it, is that a lot of times the warriors before battle would want to sleep with the Two-Spirit to take that power into battle.
Yep.
And so there's something so profound about the sexuality of, I call it gay boy magic. And I always try and post things like gay men are innovators and gay men are creators. But it's that Two-Spirit, it's that gay boy magic, and I think when, I believe that sexuality isn't boxes to be fit into. And that's one of the reasons why I appreciate sort of the tradition of Two-Spirit. So in getting ahead of myself a little bit, Two-Spirit is a pan-Indian word for, it was picked or decided on at a 1989-1990 gathering of Indigenous, Native American, First Nations, LGBTQ2S folks in Winnipeg, Canada. And so the idea with this word is to unite two spirits from all nations. In this land alone, we have almost 600 state and federally recognized tribes, And then you have, some that don't have any recognition, which is its own shit show. But I say all that to say the pan-indigenous term two-spirit doesn't minimize the word that each nation or most nations have for their two-spirit people, because it speaks to their role in that particular tribe. In Cherokee, we say Ashegi, or other, as it's been taught to me, kind of speaking to like a third gender or other gender. And that was, every nation had their word for their gender fluid, gender queer, gender nonconforming people, and the role, the medicine that they held in that tribe. And so what I've always appreciated about that is the gender fluid, gender queer, gender nonconforming, that fluidity, as opposed to sort of the very hard defined L, G, B, D, Q, figure it out and fall in line and get in line.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And so I think everybody obviously falls in different places on the sexuality spectrum, right? And I think young boys obviously are not taught they're not given language to process through it. I think parents, you always hear people say, oh, I had to talk when I was 8. It shouldn't be a talk. It should be a living talk. Yeah. And your child should feel comfortable coming to you to get correct information, not Christian information, right, not colonized information, right, not the business of the United States of America and the 1% information, correct sexual information and sexual health information, so that they themselves can cultivate healthy sexuality. And that is how you raise a child who doesn't fall prey to sexual predators, this, that, and the third, by giving correct information and by sexually empowering your child to make the correct decisions, and by them knowing that they can always come to you without fear.
Yeah. And
our boys, for the most part, I see it every day. So I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's head. I'm telling you, whoever's watching, this is what I see. Our boys are not given that advantage. They're not given that information.
Right.
And it's dangerous. It's dangerous for everybody. So we do need to raise better, sexually empowered, sexually intelligent, and emotionally intelligent boys. Yeah. Because if not, it's dangerous for everybody.
And even as you were saying that, there was so much in what you just said. So much in what you just said that was so powerful. And it just makes me like, I just literally, I think about my life, I think about others' lives, and it's just like, I don't want to just say Black people, but there are so many young men being killed. Yes. And get this, see, this, I'm two-spirited myself. I'm a shaman, actually. And I always tell people, you don't have to stab someone or shoot someone to kill them. It doesn't have to be just a physical death. You can kill somebody's spirit. You can kill somebody's mind. You can kill somebody's soul. And I find that a lot of, especially the men that I see, they are those grown little boys. Are. And it's like, and the thing is, it's serious. And and this is the crazy thing, like you said, they would always want to sleep with the two-spirited. They want that power. They want that balance.
There's something to it. And they can't describe it. They can't put it in words. They don't know what it is. And I know when heterosexual men are unnerved by whatever it is that they're feeling. And not even that they're sexually attracted, like that they want to have sex with me, but there's a different feeling and a different vibe than maybe they would have with someone who is not gay. But because they don't have the language or the emotional and sexual intelligence to verbalize it, and verbalize it in a way where their masculinity isn't threatened by it, they just get fucking weird. Yeah. And I'm like, bye. I don't like that vibe, and I also don't like to be put in a compromising situation myself. Yeah. So before that happens, I'm just going to remove myself from the environment, because it's not. it's not a comfortable, it's not healthy.
Not healthy. Yeah, I've been celibate now for 10 years because removed myself completely because, like you said, I understood the power of the energy that I was carrying.
Mhm.
And I actually transmuted my sexual energy into my work and
Mhm.
built my career, built my brand, used that energy. And,
Mhm.
it's so funny because there was a young man and I was interested in him. I met him Christmas Eve one year,
Mhm.
and he was a straight man. He was trans attracted. I was
Okay.
I wasn't trans, but I had long hair and a very feminine face and a feminine carriage. And I met him Christmas Eve, and we started sleeping together.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget, like it was like there was love there. Like I remember it, but it was love within four walls.
Mhm.
Go outside and then there's all these other situations and circumstances
Right.
in this. And I remember him, um he had just had a baby with a woman, and
Mhm.
he had been in and out of jail, and I that was another thing. He waited a year into our courtship to tell me he had been to jail. And the way that he did it was because I, like me, that was the thing. And that was another thing too. It's very hard to be partnered with somebody or paired with someone or even try to pair with someone and you're trying to move up and they're so consumed by their hurt, their pain, their savagery, their anger.
Come on, Jesus. Yeah.
Yes. So what happened was I was young at that time. Like I said, never had a boyfriend. He was with the girl and everything, but he just liked to sleep with me. And
Right.
he liked to be around me too. It was the conversation. He lived for our conversations because, us two-spirited people, we have wisdom. So
Mhm.
he loved to hear that. So we went to New York. It was during Fashion Week, and I got tickets to a show, and it was standing room. And then someone saw me because I was making sure I looked the part. So someone saw us together, and he looked like a hood. He did, but whatever. He was a very attractive hood, though. But he was good. But he was very thuggish, but
Right.
they saw me standing next to him with my high fashion ponytail and, looking the part. And they walked up to us and gave us tickets to sit down. So I was able to, when they gave me the tickets to front row, I was able to give my tickets to somebody else, to people that didn't, have any way to get in. So that's
Right.
what happened. But after that show, we were asked to join, the other models at a club because, of course, people, club owners, it's all business. Like you said,
Right.
they see you look like a fashion model. They want you in their club so they can,
Right.
make money off of you, even though you're not getting a cut.
Right. Right.
Same thing. So we went to the club and I'm in VIP, trying to network. And I don't know, I forget what happened. No, I don't. He wasn't invited into VIP. So I told him, I'll be right back. I'm not leaving you down here. I'll be right back. Well, he picked up two girls. And not only did he pick up two girls, but he left the club with them to sleep with them in their car.
Oh.
And me being spiritually in tune, I
Mhm.
saw it. And then that's okay. And then what was crazy was, as he was trying to walk back into the club, I was walking out of the club. And I threw his bus ticket in his face and I hit it down Lexington Avenue.
Right. Mhm.
Lexington Avenue. Now, what I did not know, and now I know, because you're in New York now. Now I know is you can't be in Central Park after a certain time. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know that then. So what happens is I'm arguing. He's following me. He followed me a block behind me. He didn't want to get up on me because I was really angry.
Right.
But we finally meet up in Central Park, and we're going off and arguing. And I'll never forget, a police cruiser, popped the curb and drove across the grass, scared the hell out of me and him.
Right.
And literally, I'm yelling at him, and I'm standing there in a fur coat. It was cold. I'm standing with my ponytail. I had my twist in, all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So I'm standing there, arguing with him, and they popped the curb, and they didn't attack me. They got out of their car, guns drawn
Yeah.
against him.
Mhm.
And they made him get up on like there was a gate. They had to
Okay.
even put his hands on this gate. And they're like, and they're saying to me, like, ma'am, are you okay? Are you all right? Like, and I'm like, don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot. Don't kill him.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying to him, when's the last time you've been summoned or something like that? It was something like that. And he mentioned it to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So they gave us a citation. We had to appear in court like a week later or something like that.
Right.
And he took that opportunity to tell me, yes, I've been to jail. But he didn't just tell me, yes, I've been to jail. He also told me, and I have 3 kids. So it was like the bottom was just falling, like the bottom.
Right.
Like when I tell you, when it rained, it fucking poured.
Honey.
And
Yeah.
yes. And it just was so crazy. And I remember pulling away from him. Like I remember pulling away from him. And I remember him not really wanting me to do that. But I, like, you know, us, we make, like you said, that magic. I make things happen. So turn around, and I like after that and going to see, you know, court and them dismissing it and them talking to him and saying we didn't know we were supposed to be, you know, not cut through Central Park. They dismissed it. After that, I planned my voyage to Paris. I was like, I'm getting out of here.
I know that to be so. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm getting on with my life, whatever. I'm dropping this person, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm friends with his mother even to this day. His mother loved me. And
That's right.
But get this, I was the first boy she ever knew he dated.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so interesting.
I know, I didn't mean to do it, but I was like, you know, I'm talking to her on the phone and she's like, oh, young lady, you know, you're looking for my son, da, 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 da. And I'm like, I'm not a woman. And she was like, and that was it. She was just like, okay.
Right.
And then she asked me my name and we exchanged numbers. And we, to this day, I don't even talk to him.
Right.
I talk to his mother.
I know that's right.
Often.
Yep. It's interesting because what they are seeking is that liberation. Yep. And that's what they see in us.
Yep.
And I think because the truth is nobody can liberate somebody else. You know, you have to liberate yourself. I do believe that love is liberating. Yeah. Love in its purest, love is liberating. Yep. And I think that's a really good way to check against what's happening, because love can't be anything but love. If there's something else going on, then is it codependent? Is it control? Is there abuse? Love is liberating. And so I think men who suffer sexual oppression, you know, are of course drawn to that liberation that we exude as gay men, as two-spirit people. And so that's my hypothesis. That's my theory.
No, but it's a good one, because get this, they want the liberation, but what keeps them bound and keeps them in chains is the opinions of everyone else.
Exactly.
You have men, I know men, unfortunately, I know men that have taken their lives because they were closeted. They were, you know, X, Y, and Z. And if they came out, they would lose the confidence of their families, brothers, sisters, high school friends, like the church. Yeah, like everyone would talk about it. And under that pressure, like that's why a lot, and it's sad because especially for Black and brown men, this is what stops them. They lose their reputations. Whereas us, we never had it, and we build a reputation, and then we're sitting.
Honey,
here.
I started out poor and worked my way up the outcast.
Okay. Now we, you know, and we're happily outcasted.
Right. But now I realize that I am plugged into the universal mind, so I don't need anything from any person, any community, anything outside of myself. Yeah. Because when you live in spirit, that's where you realize that separateness is an illusion. Because in spirit, we all come from the same place. We are connected to all things and all people at all times. We're connected to each other at all times. We are each other. And so you realize that idea of separateness, and that group and tribal consciousness or ego consciousness, that's very much an illusion.
You know,
So happily outcast indeed.
yeah, I was gonna say happily outcast, but you know, they also envy us because they envy our strength. Damn,
Yes.
everybody knows, and you just out here shining, and you just doing what you need to do, minding your business, and don't care what nobody said. They envy that. They envy
Because I decided to take the bullet for my life being or not being where I wanted it to be.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think there's a lot of, I didn't plan it that way, but there's a lot of religious thematic
yeah,
aspects to this record.
yeah,
You'll see a lot of things on the track list
yeah,
that I had released, like Genesis, Leviticus,
yeah,
Psalms.
yeah,
And I felt that I found a lot of things in them as they stood were unhealthy and didn't work. So I repurposed them.
yeah, yeah,
And there's a lot of that sexual oppression comes from the church. And it's not just, we've seen how the church has sexually oppressed women. But if you notice, it's anyone with power.
yeah,
By nature, women are life givers.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's why people always say, God, you know, if God had an image, God is a woman, because
yeah,
the universe
yeah,
is a life giver.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So anyone with the power to bring light and awareness,
yeah,
they found a way to, in the text of the Bible, somehow verbally oppress those
yeah,
people, and then they blame it on God,
yeah,
whatever God that is. And
yeah.
I just find that really interesting because, you know, Jesus wasn't a Christian, Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, Muhammad wasn't
Muslim,
Muslim. Thank you, my brain.
yeah,
So I just find the business of the church as interesting as I do the business of the different countries and world establishments.
yeah. I definitely second what you're saying because, you know, it's kind of funny now because my greatest trauma wasn't just those boys. It was the church. I was ridiculed as a young boy, 10 years old. I had some horrific things happen to me in church, public shamings and just all kinds of things. And even under all of that pressure, I still rose to be me and unapologetically me. And I have more power in my pinky than preachers do on Sunday morning.
Come on now. Yep.
No, and it's so crazy because, you know, for a long time, you know, my grandmother is a devout Christian, but her and I had to come to an understanding because I'm like, okay, you're God, what you do, da 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 da. You went to college, you got your bachelor's, you got your master's degree. He made me the millionaire. All of your children, and all of our children are gay and lesbian, but they deny themselves to absorb and take on except my aunt. She's married to a woman, mind you. But the rest of them, yes, they take on this indoctrination. And it took me years to get rid of it. And I'm like, God made me the creative. I'm the one planning to live in another country. You know, like I'm the one that, you know, the way that I work, it was so funny because I was talking to her last night. I was downstairs and she was praising me because she was just like, you have done so much with your brand. And I started crying. And she said, what's wrong? I said, because according to Christianity, I'm the godless.
Right.
But I know for a fact that God told me to do everything that I do. Instructed me, like literally. It's not, you know, people say, oh, God doesn't speak all the time. Well, he speaks all the time to me. And
I know that.
and I was
for those who listen.
And I was explaining to her how I can't even take credit for a song that I've written, for a monologue that I've done, any videos that I've done, because literally I'm channeling. Even as far as how to wear my hair, what to put on, what to put around my neck, the flower, like God literally is like, do this, do this, do this, do this, the whole way. I don't have anything in my life that I do without the presence of the divine. And that's what I call God, the divine.
Right.
And she looked at me and she was just like, she had to respect it because I'm like, every single thing I do, every dress I wear, everything I say, I hear from spirit.
Mhm.
and am instructed to build what I've built. And even in both of us, what we do, it just impacts people's lives in such a powerful way that they, like you said, we can't liberate them. They have to liberate themselves, but we cause them to feel what liberation feels like, and they know that they want more of that feeling.
Yeah.
So then
Be an example
yeah,
is important.
yeah,
When
yeah,
I was a kid growing up, I couldn't eat lunch in the lunchroom anymore because I was always in a fight.
yeah,
Always, always in a fight.
yeah.
So I started to. I always get emotional thinking about her. Her name was Mrs. Bennett, the librarian,
Mhm.
and she let me start eating lunch in the library with her because there was a child. My period must be coming or something. I'm getting emotional. There, um, there was a book about Diana Ross, a kid's book, that a youth autobiographer. Like, they wrote books for kids. Diana Ross was my first example of possibility.
Yeah,
From 2 years old when I first saw her, and I was like, this, how there's always that pulse point where you can go, and nothing was the same after that.
yep,
And I was like, that's it. Like, that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to be. And I would go and eat lunch with Mrs. Bennett, and I felt safe, and she made me feel safe.
yeah,
And I read that book every day. I remember hearing her talking to one of the other teachers who had come to check. There were several teachers who, every teacher knew what was going on, but only a few of them would step forward and, you know, uh, check on me and make sure I was okay and do the right thing.
yeah,
She said to them, he reads that book every day. And I did, because it became my Bible, because she was an example of possibility.
yeah,
And it would talk about when she was bullied and she got into fights as a kid and all that. And I felt like if I toughed this out, and because as a kid, I was pretty bad in school. I wish I was so much worse, because I didn't realize that that an end would come to it. At that age, it feels like this is it. And I
yeah,
think that's why we lose so many young people, because
yep,
there's such a sense of finite. This is it. My life is going to be misery. I'm going to be tortured every day for the rest of my life. You
yeah.
don't realize that it ends in 14 years, whatever. However, I don't even remember. What is it? 14, 8 years of school, 1 year of kindergarten, 4 years of high school, whatever. But
Yeah,
then it comes to an end. You don't realize that at that
yeah,
time. And
yeah,
so she was my example of possibility, that if I could just manage to put one foot in front of the other every day, that I could transition myself into something better. And so I think it's important. I don't call myself a role model. My fidelity is to my art,
yeah,
to paint the truth with lyrics and music the way an artist would use paint. So my fidelity is to my art. But if I can be an example
yeah,
of possibility in that fidelity, in that artistic practice, then I'm thankful that I can be that, because I know what it meant to me to have that example of possibility. And thank God for all the Miss Bennetts of the world
yeah,
who are aware, and who are watching, and who see, and who come in to create safe and safer spaces, because it was pretty bad. I
yeah,
got strangled by one of the kids in the lunchroom. Like, it was a shit show.
yeah.
So having that safe space and that library, that was everything to me.
You know what's so crazy? I'm getting ready to drop a bomb on you. I love Diana Ross too, but I'm getting ready to drop a bomb on you.
Okay.
I remember, like I said, you were performing, you were entertaining, you were singing, you were a pop artist long before I ever started. I started YouTube in 2008, and
Uh-huh.
I was just singing covers. And I remember watching footage and pictures from your performances. And your performances, you were actually one of the pivotal people that gave me the security I needed to do this. It was watching you. I will never forget it. And like you said, you had many albums out and great music, but I came alive on Hot Knife Through Butter. when I heard,
Phil would be so happy to hear that.
yeah, shout out to Phil, Insane.
Shout out to Insane P.
Yeah, he like that, like honestly, I had never, okay, let me try to explain this because I got the words, so let's see. I got the verbiage, in that song, there was such a transcendence from one position to a higher level. Even in the musical arrangement, the song wasn't just going somewhere, it was going up. And I heard it in the music and then your voice and then the lyrics. And then it was also, you were singing to a man, and that's what made me say, okay, bitch, I am not going to try this she in my music. I'm going to say he, bitch, you already know.
Right.
So it was it was that moment. And I'll never forget, I listened to that song all the time. When you had the best, you won't want another. Your love cuts through me like a hot knife through butter.
Right. Wow.
And that's the thing. We don't set out to be role models, but we never know who we impact. We never know, which is why it is our destiny and our responsibility to keep doing what we
keep going.
do. No matter what happens, no matter the setbacks, no matter the letdowns, no matter the changes in direction, we must keep going, because you sitting there right now and me sitting here right now, we're somebody's hero. And we only need—
You blessed my heart. I wish you were here so I could hug you, but thank you.
I know, right? Virtual hug.
Virtual hug.
But seriously, that I had different people that throughout my life, like for me, it was Josephine Baker. Then I discovered Diana Ross. And it was like, and then the fact that she's in, what is she, 78, 79? She just had a birthday?
She just turned, I should know this, 76, I think. 76,
okay.
76, I can't remember.
Well, get this. She's still performing.
She's touring right now. God bless her.
but get this. She outlasted Whitney Houston. All these people that came and went. And what I take from her is, there were little things, because Diana was a diva. She still is a diva. I can't say what, she's alive. She is a diva.
Yeah.
And she is the boss.
Yes.
Being the boss, you have to look at people and say, okay, well, this is what's going on. But she always managed to keep doing her own thing.
Yeah.
I remember.
She's true to herself.
Yes, I remember.
I know itself be true.
Who was it? Barbara Walters asked her, and I didn't really like that interview. And I was so happy with the way that Miss Ross answered, because Barbara Walters was like, what if this album doesn't do well? What if this tour doesn't do well? And Diana looked at her and said, I'll make another one.
I'll make another one.
And she was like, but what if it? And she said, next.
Exactly.
Next.
Keep going.
That's
better than the alternative.
Yes, of not doing and feeling alive. We do what we do because we feel alive when we do it.
Yes. I was just having that conversation. To be creating, I feel the closest to God.
Yep.
Creator, to divine source, to the universal mind, when I am creating. And it's so funny, I could always tell when I'm off course, or when I've kind of bought the hype and I'm paying attention to stupid things that shouldn't cloud my mind, least of all the opinion of others.
Yeah.
And I catch myself. And the more you practice the awareness, the better and the quicker you get it catch. And I go, my mind should be filled with music.
Yeah.
Not the hum, not the outside hum of nonsense. Yeah. And so that's that. I do feel the closest to God when I am creating.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too. Yeah. And I'm a little bit of an excess. I'm greedy. So I'm always creating. I'm always, literally, there's always a video. There's always a word. There's always something I'm saying and doing. Like I kind of took a hiatus from Instagram because I just didn't like the treatment that they were giving towards Black creators. Mm-hmm. So I kind of took a hiatus, but now I'm building this beautiful YouTube channel that I deleted the old one because it wasn't like, everybody was like, oh my God, you had so many amazing songs, but they weren't my songs.
Okay.
You know, it was my voice, but they weren't my songs. So
Gotcha.
now I'm doing, like I said, these interviews, conversation. They're really conversations, they're not interviews. But you know, these, and then I have the moments as a mentor, and I share so much. And the page is so beautiful. I actually tell people, hop on over to my YouTube planet, because it's a
Come
planet.
on, YouTube Planet. I'm here for that.
Yeah, it's not a channel, because it's a hub, and that's what I've done. But you know, I am just so inspired that you are still doing what you're doing, because for a while I didn't get this. I didn't even know you had moved to New York.
Well, I'm back. I'm in Philly now.
Oh,
I left
wow.
New York
Okay.
3 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so now you back. But you know what's so funny? I'm planning to leave. Like I'm moving to Lisbon, Portugal.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
wonderful.
you, thank you. And I'm taking my grandmother
Come on, girl.
and my
Yeah,
cat and my cat.
yeah.
But like from there, because I was going to move straight to Paris, but from Lisbon, I can touch other countries. Yeah, and it allows
Well,
me.
that's brilliant.
Exactly. Somebody told me, you know, I know all these people now. So they're like, no,
Great.
move here. So I'm like, okay. So, you know, my career is on a high note, and it's just continuing to grow. But I find, like I did, like I had something really traumatic 2 weeks ago. My brother tried to kill me, murder me. He's schizophrenic, and he tried to not just murder me, but murder my grandmother. And I had to fight him, and I got all these cuts and scars all over me and my knees, and I had to fight him as he tried to strangle me. He was in the army, so he tried to strangle me on the bathroom floor, and I had to fight like I fought like I'd never fought in my life, and I was able to subdue him so that he didn't hurt me anymore and my grandmother. And then I had to have a restraining order, and then I went back last week for the like finalization of the restraining order, and they made it for 3 years, so my brother can't even be around me for 3 years. And it was a lot. Like I literally disappeared from the camera for 11 days because I was moving and rescheduling my interviews, because I'm always working. This is a part of my creative. So, but I knew today, like even when I woke up today, I didn't feel my best, but I listened to Spirit. Spirit said, you need to do this interview today. You were my only one. Usually I do like 3 in a day, but you were.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And they're all an hour. So it was like, you know, I'm used, but like you said, I feel closest to the divine when I'm working. That connection, you'll never leave me, you'll never forsake me. I'm there. We're there together, and we're creating something that will last forever. You know,
it's cathartic.
Yes, extremely.
It's cathartic. Yeah,
extremely.
There's a lot of second round. Well, the actual album cover, I never release album cover art until the actual record comes out. So I always kind of do pre-promo and then like after promo. And so the kind of like a spoiler, I'm using a lot of younger pictures.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of divination. Sort of in the frescoes that you would see of like the Madonna and Child. And Jesus, you know, like with the halo and the different things. And I'm doing it, you know, in theme with the growing up gay thing. You know, I carry him with me, that 8-year-old, the 11-year-old. I carry him with me. And when he was living through all that, he felt like the world hated him. And I know that he never felt divine. So it's my chance to make him divine. And so that's what I've decided. And it's been very cathartic. And you know, and to my point, it's been really cathartic and fun, you know, to do that and sort of make divine all these old pictures and these old photos and old memories. So yes, it's to create is cathartic.
And you do it so well. I've been watching you for so long. You've always done your pictures, and there was always an ethereal tone to your photos. You always did that. Even when you were doing the photos of, you know, being Cherokee and things like that, it was still an ethereal, you know, and it's kind of funny because, you know, we are drawn to people that really do express the same things we do. It's so funny and not so funny that you would be drawn to Diana Ross, because that etherealism, you know, that,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you draw to people and you move toward people that, you know, are like you. And it's so crazy because my, like I said, Josephine Baker was my, you know, quintessential reason why I left the country the first time for Paris.
Right, right.
But Tina Turner is
Oh, yeah.
my goddess. And it's because I even said it the other day. I'm like, she was abused for so long, and so was I. And she rose, and then she hit Europe with What's Love Got to Do with It. And it was sailing
All over.
from there, you
Mhm.
know, and that's what I'm doing. I stay, like, I don't even go around my family. I can't even go around my family. Like, it's so crazy to be estranged.
Mhm.
People that you grew up with, your own brothers and sisters, to be
Mhm.
estranged, but they don't share the same eye or view or belief that you do. So you can't be around people like that. And
Yeah.
there's the jealousy and the hatred and the lies. And I couldn't, but Tina Turner is my fighter. Because,
Yeah.
you know, I always think to myself, I'm like, Tina, you were so much bigger than Ike. Why did you let him beat you like that? But
Seriously.
yeah, but get this, I realized he had her mind.
Well, I think that's a really good example of, I think she carried that little girl
Yeah.
from Nutbush, and
She,
I think that's who
oh,
she felt like she
mhm,
was.
yep.
She didn't, I don't know that she felt in her body the way we saw her in
Yeah.
her body, you know?
Yeah.
And and a great abuser will make full good on that.
Yep.
They know where they can manipulate and get in and twist. And then when they can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you.
Yep. Yep.
So making, oh, just do the next best thing. And my guiding principle now is it healthy?
Yeah.
That is my number one sort of, is it healthy? And then my priority above all else,
Yeah.
literally my wake up with, go to bed with, check in throughout the day, is my peace.
Yeah.
And if you have the opportunity to be right or have peace,
Yeah.
have peace.
Yes.
And so that is what I can only speak for myself, but I can't really access anything else if I don't walk through peace first.
Yeah.
Can't really access joy and love and, you know, and pleasure. And if I don't walk through peace first, if my mind isn't sound to receive any of that. So peace comes first.
Yeah.
And everything, and then health, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, my three-legged stool is really my peace, my health, and my freedom.
Yeah.
I was profiled and arrested in New York also,
Yeah.
and got caught up in the criminal justice system.
Right.
And you realize very quickly how important freedom
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And to be thankful for what you didn't even know was freedom.
Yeah.
So that's my three-legged stool. I thank God every day for my peace, my health, and my freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely can. Yeah. No, trust me, Tony, I've spent time in jail too.
Come on.
It's just, but you know, it's the life we live. Like, at some point, something's going to come to a head if it's not dealt with.
And that is the reason why I ended up in
Yeah.
jail, because at the time I was also in an abusive,
Relation.
unhealthy relationship with an alcoholic. And I think
I
I
remember
know
we
that
spoke about it. I remember we
yeah.
spoke about it.
Well, you know, I had three. It's like 3-time Grammy Award winner, Tony Brown, 3-time alcoholic survivor,
Oh my
Tony
God.
Rena. But it's because there were things that needed attention.
Yeah.
That, you know, a hard head makes a soft ass.
Yeah.
And the universe will give you the same lesson until you learn it.
Yep.
And so I finally had to stop and think and examine what I was doing,
Yeah.
that I was okay with accepting this type of behavior from an intimate partner.
Right.
And you can't carry what's not yours to carry,
Mm-mm.
because the price to pay for that, it could be everything. It could be your
Yep.
life, it could be your freedom.
Yep.
So you can't carry what's not yours to carry.
Yeah.
And so those are very hard-won lessons for me.
Yeah.
And so that's why now,
Yeah.
you know, you get older and you just learn what's important.
Yeah.
And again, my three-legged stool, peace, health, and freedom.
And, you know, and that's so true, because I think that's what people don't understand, you know, freedom of spirit, freedom of mind, freedom of body. Like, oh my God, when you look back and look at how oppressed you were, and then when you realize, yeah, people were doing what they were doing, but the one who built the prison was you. Mhm.
Mhm.
And then you finally, and it's so crazy because, you know, we see this in movies and things like that, to where you finally start a new way of thinking, and you
Right.
open the gate, you open the pen, and the spirit, the animal, the person doesn't even move. They don't even
Mhm.
realize that they can go out. They don't even realize,
Right.
like, it has become so comfortable.
Yeah.
And I was there.
And routine and
And
survival and
routine, routine.
all of those autonomic things,
Yep. Yep. And then, you know, and my thing is, every great spirit, soul, body has a story to tell.
That's right.
I don't feel that you get good without it. I don't feel that you get good, like the music, the lectures, the symposiums, like, you know, when you actually have to draw on the wisdom that you learn yourself, you don't get good without all of that.
Right. Well, the door to change
Mhm.
and self-actualization and really to changing the world
Mhm.
opens inward.
Yep.
And most people spend their life facing the wrong direction, thinking that it opens outward. It opens inward. So that awareness, that self-actualization, that reflection, and the accountability, the self-accountability,
Yeah.
taking accountability for the behaviors. And in my case, it was relationship behaviors, codependent behaviors, growing up as the child of an addict,
Yeah.
all of those things that needed addressing and healthy change.
Yeah.
And so it was me. It
Yeah.
was me all along.
Yeah. I saw that even in my life, and even in the lives of my siblings. It forced me to to cut communication with them,
Mhm.
because they weren't open to a new way. They weren't open, not to my way, but to dealing with it. My brother was an alcoholic as well. You know,
Mhm.
so schizophrenia with with alcoholism is just,
Mhm.
yes.
No, it's all-
Yeah,
yeah.
it was very, and mental illness runs in my family. Like, yeah, all my
Yeah.
siblings, me, my siblings, we all have it. But, you know,
Gotcha.
I'm the one that said, it hurts, but I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I want to learn. I
Yeah.
want to be more. You know,
Yeah.
I have fought, and that's the thing. Some people say, I can't believe you're 40. Oh my God, you know, it took so long. And I'm like, it took so long because I had to learn me.
Yeah.
And thank God I did it. Because, like you said, self-actualization, I love Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You turn around, and most people never achieve self-actualization.
Yeah.
Stay in the other facets of the pyramid: family,
Right.
money, job, career.
Right.
Self-actualization is that pinnacle at the very top. And most
Right.
people die before they ever reach that. But one thing I find is, children that are queer or gay or different, we're forced to go inside. It's our
Absolutely.
retreat. It's our
Yeah.
retreat. And
Right.
because we go inward, we find self-actualization far
Right.
earlier than most people ever do or will ever,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we don't fit in the gears of the machine as it's
Right,
designed.
right.
So the other folks, I think, get caught in the gears, in the money and the job and the white picket fence and the
Yep,
family and the
yep,
nonsense, of course. And I think for us, other things become more important.
yeah,
Sometimes it means a survival, really.
yeah,
I'm grateful for those days in my parents' basement with my records and my record player.
yeah,
That was my time. It was my safe place. It was my chance and my time to dream.
yeah,
And so I thank God that I wasn't out on hanging out on the street corners and getting into more trouble than I got into, because God knows I got into enough, but even more.
yeah,
So yeah, it hasn't. I can't sit here and pretend to do a poor me. It has not all been bad. I always thank God for every shred of the past 37 years.
yeah,
And I don't say the good or the bad. It has all been wonderful.
yeah.
All of it, every second.
Needed. It
It
was
is
all needed.
wonderful.
It was
Yeah.
all needed.
And exactly. Everything that needed to be done was done, and everything in divine order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So don't pay those folks no mind when they're
mm,
over there, because the flesh is bound by things needing to begin and end.
yeah,
But in spirit, everything is forever.
Yep.
So people who are bound, oh, it took this long, and it took as long as it needed
It
to
took
take.
as long as it needed.
Everything in divine order. Yeah.
And so, and to be honest, just to pat myself on the back, it took as
Yes.
long as it needed to, but honey, no, not a bitch can touch me.
I don't know. You're right.
Not a bitch can
Yeah.
touch me at what I do, with what I offer. Not
Right.
a bitch can touch me. And it's only because of the years and years of painful lessons.
Yeah.
The lessons where I bled, the lessons where I, healing. Like I'm sitting here now, I got cuts all over my body, and and it's fine. And I look at them and I'm just like, will they heal? Yes, they'll heal. Yes, they'll heal. It's the more emotional side that I need to look at. And to be honest, I love what you said, because I'm going to say this. I love what you said when you said we take accountability. We must take accountability, because honestly, I knew what my brother was. I knew who he was. I brought him here against the recommendation of my grandmother. I knew, and my attitude was, oh, well, he's not violent. He won't turn on me. And in his psychosis, they can't differentiate who's good.
Right.
They turn on everybody.
Yeah.
So I also had to bear the brunt of, he needed to be in a facility, but if he wouldn't take himself to a facility, not my problem. But at the same time, I wish him well. Wherever he is, the cops took him away. That's all I saw. That was the last time I saw my brother. And I knew that was the last time I would see him on this side of life. I knew I was looking at my brother disappear from my life. And I think that was the hardest part, because I was speaking with one of my supporters. She's like my mommy. She's the queen of queer rock and roll. Yeah, she's something. But she said to me, a little boy trying to, make up for his drug addict mother and father and mentally ill, this is that and the other, trying to take care of his siblings, failed then as a young person of 5, 6, thought that he would be able to do it as an adult, but forgot that it was never his responsibility. Never his responsibility.
Yeah.
Never my role.
And that's what codependency will do.
Yep.
And that's why that's a very important relationship across the board of relationships, relationship behavior to take a look at.
Yep.
Because it can really, the price to pay for carrying things that aren't yours to carry could be everything. And my sister and I were just having this conversation, growth isn't always, it doesn't always feel great.
Right.
There's not always an instant gratification feeling like, yes, I'm growing. Sometimes it's painful and sometimes it doesn't feel great. It doesn't always feel great making the healthier decision to remove people from your life because the interaction just is not healthy. But you made the right decision when peace follows.
Peace. And there's peace in my home. My cat acts differently. I walk around my home, because and I had to admit that I was afraid of him. The hardest part to admit, because and this was the thing, I felt so bad, because I was like, you're almost 40 years old and you're fighting like a baboon in the street, a gorilla in the street. I felt bad about that. And that wasn't what I needed to focus on.
Right.
I needed to focus on, he was not supposed to be here. Right. He has to take responsibility and accountability for his life. Right. And I wish him well. And the same, and that's another thing, the same divine source that helped me get it together and put me and has me sitting here all together and still having struggles, but still here with a grip on sanity. Right. Same thing for him.
That's right.
Same thing for him. And that's the thing. And I had to realize that I was trying to do the divine's job. Stop trying to do the divine's job.
You can't fix nobody.
Exactly. I didn't create nobody. He did. So why am I trying to take responsibility for everybody I see?
Right.
That's why even with my career, I share what I am given. And yes, it is profound, but I love this way of doing it, because I do it, I post it, and I leave.
I know you, and your job is done. And I tell artists, especially new artists, who, it's a different world now with the Instagram, Facebook, social media organization of the culture. And I say your job is to make art. It's not your job to provide a supplement on how people should digest it, how they should feel about it, why they should like it. You made it, you released it, on to the next. Your job is done.
Yep.
You know, it's not your job to help people
Digest it,
digest it. Yeah.
you
You
know?
make art, that's it. Your job is done. On to the next.
Yeah,
And that's somebody's always going to hate it. And that's the nature of
Yeah.
the job. And so I don't complain about it, because it's like I always say, it's like working at UPS and being made you got to lift 50 pounds. I got to lift 50 pounds. Yeah, but it's part of the job. You know what I mean? So somebody's always going to hate it, and I'm fine with that. And it's also an opportunity to say, cool, this is a great opportunity for you to maybe create something that you feel is more effective or a different option for people. So it's my job to invite other people to, or it's an opportunity for me to invite other people to create as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your job to create. Done. On to the next.
And you know what I learned too? Nobody ever hates it. What happens is they get upset, jealous, and
Well, yeah.
envious because here you are being productive.
Right.
And they only wish that they could.
Well, most people who can't manifest anything good for themselves just
Yeah.
like to pay in other people's cornflakes.
Yeah.
So I've really, that's why I don't mind when somebody
Yeah.
dislikes it or express this or whatever the case may be, because I know a bitter Betty when I see it.
Yeah.
So I don't get to. My job is to create. That's it.
Like you said, I create and I protect my peace, which means my block button is strong. And that's the thing. They get mad when you remove them from seeing it. It's like, but you hated it. But you hated it.
And you can express all the hate you want on your page.
On
You
your
don't do it on my page.
Not thank you. Not on mine. You
don't
won't see not a negative comment on mine. No, you won't.
And that's the other thing. You teach people how to treat
you. Oh my God.
No, I won't tolerate.
Yeah.
I won't tolerate anything but love.
Yeah.
In my universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? My universe is love. And so
and
somebody else has other business, take it on somewhere else and handle your business.
Yes.
But you don't get to darken my doorway. I get to say,
yeah,
I have agency over my mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
I have complete and total agency.
Oh,
so you don't darken this doorway.
So amazing. This was amazing. Give me 3 words that inspire you, empower you.
Love, spirit, and love.
Yeah.
Love double. Love, when you think about the love that actually exists in the world, it's the one thing you'll never run out of.
Yep.
Love will always come.
Yeah.
There will never be a deficit.
Yeah.
I think people manage to get away from it and either turn a blind eye to it, but it's always there. Love will always come.
Yeah.
It's the one thing you'll never run out of. Love heals. Love liberates. It got away from me that fast. Love heals. Love liberates. And oh my God, and it was a good one. But yeah, those things.
Yeah.
Love is. That was what it was. Love is still one of the most effective forms of resistance.
Yeah.
Still one of the strongest forms of resistance to love, to choose love.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you so much for taking this opportunity. We had an amazing conversation, and the world is going to see it. Yes, and the world is going to see it. And I'm so thankful that I got to sit and talk to you.
Likewise.
As you shared with us so much joy, so much good. And that's in your music too. That's in your speaking. That's in everything you do. And I love speaking to artists like you because you can tell it's who you are. It's truly who you are. So tell everyone where they can find you on social media. We're talking about this animal now. So give us all your
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Tony Enos. My website is tonyenosmusic.com.
Okay.
All your favorite digital music sites, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, all the digital carrying on. Just search Tony Enos, Tony Enos Music, it'll come up. Have I forgotten anything? New album Indestructible comes out June 1st on all the platforms. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings, top artist and icon, Mr. Tony Enos. Don't go nowhere. Hold on. So did you enjoy? I hope you did. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and don't forget to cash at me at the Queen of Shade. I am your favorite content creator, right? Right. You want to see more of this content, right? Right. Cash at me. I love you. Mwah.
I got my black stilettos on. Don't you make me